Hello everyone, I'm Xiansheng Math, and this is part 5 of IV Global Math ACT Practice Test. Before you watch these videos, I suggest you read through and solve the problems on your own, and then just use the videos for the problems that you're having trouble understanding. All right, number 13 is asking us to find this missing angle, and the question says, in the figure below, lines L and M are parallel. What is the measure of angle ABC? Okay, so these two lines are parallel. We want to mark that, so let's do that. And given that the lines are parallel, we know that corresponding angles are congruent. And alternate interior angles are congruent. And there are others, but these are the ones we're going to use for this problem. All right, so this angle here has a measure of 135. This angle here is corresponding, so its measure is also 135. And then this angle here and this angle here are alternate interior angles, so they are also congruent. So we see that this angle and this angle form a linear pair. So we have angle 135 degrees plus x. Well, if they form a linear pair, their measures add up to 180 degrees. So to solve this, we just subtract 135 degrees from both sides, and x is 45 degrees. So that means this angle is 45 degrees, which tells us angle CAB is also 45 degrees. Okay, and you could have also used the fact that these corresponding angles, well, this is 135, so this angle and angle CAB add up to 180, and that also tells us that angle is 45 degrees. Next, what we're trying to do here, well, we see this is a triangle, and in a triangle, the sum of the angle measures is 180 degrees. So we know that this angle, we know that these three angles, this angle CBA, and angle ACB, their measures add up to 180 degrees. So if we find two of them, we can find the third. So now let's find the measure of angle ACB. Well, this angle and angle ACB form a linear pair. So we can just, this measure and this measure add up to 180. So now we have 125 plus x equals 180. And we subtract 125 from both sides, and we get x is 55 degrees this time. So this is 55, this is 55 degrees. So these three angles add up to 180 because they make a triangle. And so we know now that 45 plus 55 plus the missing angle equals 180. And this is 100. And if we subtract 100 from both sides, we see the missing angle y is 80 degrees. So this is angle ABC is 80 degrees, and that is choice D. Notice that choices A and B are 45 and 55, which, if you're not thinking things through, you might choose instead of this one. So make sure you look at and think things through carefully. All right. Question 14. Jose's wage of $19 per hour is directly proportional to the wage of his manager, who is paid $28 per hour. If Jose's manager's wage increases to $33 per hour, what is Jose's new wage to the nearest cent? Okay. important here is the directly proportional. So that means if the manager's salary doubles, Jose's salary doubles too. So the manager's salary goes from 28 to 56. Jose's salary would go from 19 to 38. Notice here, this is an increase of 28. This is an increase of 19. So the salaries are not increasing by the same amount. They're increasing by the same ratio. That's why the idea of proportional is important here. So let's make a proportion, and we'll compare Jose's wage to his manager's wage. Okay, well, Jose's is 19. The manager's wage is 28. Okay, well, it says the new manager's wage is going to be $33. So what is Jose's wage going to be? Okay, now this increased by 5, but this is a proportion. So this is not going to increase by 5. We solve the proportion though, and we will know what the new wage is. So this represents Jose's new wage after the increase. In a proportion, the product of the means, these are the means, 28 times z is equal to the product of the extremes, 19 times 33. So we get 28z equals 19 times 33 is 627. To solve this, we need to undo multiplication. We do that by division, so we divide both sides by 28. And z is approximately equal to $22.39. All right, so the answer for 14 is G. Notice that one of the choices is $24. That's choice J. So since this increased by 5 and you just said, oh, this increases by 5, you would choose answer J. Remember, this is directly proportional. So the amount that his wage increases is not going to be the same, but they're going to have the same ratio before and after the increase. All right, question 15 asks us, at what point xy does line L cross the x-axis? So let's do that. All right, and then this one, it's good to draw pictures to help you see what's going on. All right, so I drew a small triangle here to represent what's going on here, and since this point, this point, and this point are all in a line, between any 2 points they're going to have the same slope. So one way of doing this is to find the slope between -2, 5, and 0, 4, and then we can find the slope between 0, 4, and xy, and those two slopes are going to be the same because they're all in the same line. So let's look at it that way, and we're going to look at it one other way. All right, so looking at this picture, well, let's remind what slope is. Slope is rise over run. Remember, rise is the vertical change, run is the horizontal change. So I'm writing the formula down just in case you want to see that. All right, so let's say I choose this point as my, let's see, x1, y sub 1, and this would be x sub 2, y sub 2. So if I do that, then the y sub 2 is 5, and the y sub 1 is 4, so 5 minus 4. And then the x sub 2 is -2 minus x sub 1, which is 0. So here we get 1 over 2. So the slope is negative 1/2. You could also see this if you're just looking at the picture. You don't have to do the formula. What's the vertical change? Going from here to here, it goes down 1. So that's a vertical change of negative 1 going down 1. And then from here to here, it goes from negative 2 to 0. It goes to the right 2. And again, you see the slope is negative 1/2. All right, so this is the slope between the 2 points. So that's going to be the slope between these 2 points. So let's call this, now this is going to be x sub 2, y sub 2 using the formula. So I'm going to have y sub 2 minus y sub 1, which is 4, and x sub 2 minus x sub 1, which is 0. All right, well, this point is on the x-axis. So it's not going up, or if it's on the x-axis, then the y value is 0. So we can just substitute the y value as 0. So now we have negative 4 over x sub 2 minus 0. It's just going to be x sub 2. So, we have negative 1/2 equals negative 4 over x sub 2. We can solve this as a proportion. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, and that's equal to negative 1 times x sub 2, so it's the opposite of x sub 2. And then we divide both sides by negative 1, and x sub 2 is equal to 8. We also see here, if the opposite of x sub 2 is negative 8, well, then x sub 2 must be 8, because 8 is the opposite of negative 8. All right, so we now know that x sub 2 is 8, and so I'm getting confused here. I see D and E both have an 8 there. Well, that x sub 2 is 8. So what point is this? This point is the x value is 8, and the y value is 0. So that means it's going to be E. All right, another way to look at this is what's happening every time the y value decreases by 1. Well, every time the y value decreases by 1, the x value increases by 2. So we have negative 1 and 2. So every time we go down 1, we go to the right 2. So we're 4 above the origin. So if we go down 1 to 3, we're going to go over 2. We go down 1 to 2 up to 2, where y is 2, we're over at 4. And so we're going to go down 4 times. So we're going to go over 2 times 4, or 8 times. So that's another way to look at this. All right. Next one, 16. All right. So this problem. Kyle has determined that it will cost him $90 to paint the 4 walls of his square bedroom. The walls measure 6 feet in height, and the area of his room's floor is 225 square feet. What is the cost of paint per square foot? Okay, well, his room is square, and its area is 225 square feet. So let's say I'm looking down on the floor. I know that this and this will have the same measure because he has a square room. So we're going to have the area, which is the length times the width, is x times x, and that's going to equal 225 square feet. So we have x squared equals 225. To undo squaring, we take the square root, so we'll take the square root of x squared, and times itself equals x squared, x. The square root of x squared is x. What's the square root of 225? 15. So now we know the length of each side of his room is 15. So now we're looking at a wall. Well, this is the floor, so this is 15. I didn't write that very well. So from here to here is 15. And let's see. So got four walls. Okay, and it costs. Right, no. We have 4 walls, and they are 6 feet high. So, what's the area of one wall? Well, again, it's going to be length times width. So it's going to be 6 times 15, or 15 times 6. So we have the area of one wall is 90, and he's got 4 walls. So we're going to go 4 times 90. So let's see, that's area of one wall. And so 4 times 90 is going to be the area of all walls. And that's going to be 360. All right, so what is it asking us again? It's asking, what is the cost of the paint per square foot? So we want the cost per square foot. Okay, well, what's the cost he estimates? Well, it's going to be 90. And how many square feet are there? 360. So, how much is that? And this is $90. Well, 90 goes into 364 times, so that's equivalent to $1 for every 4 square feet. We could do 1 divided by 4. We also think, though, you divide $1 into 4 parts, you get a quarter, 25 cents. So it's going to cost 25 cents per square foot. And that is G. So this one's G. All right, this video is a little longer, but you can always just click through the ones you don't need to see. So we'll do one more here. Okay, so 17 involves absolute value, and absolute value is distance from 0. So here's 17, and that's going to help us to solve this. So, which of the following number lines represents the inequality, the absolute value of the quantity 2 times x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 10? All right, so we're told this quantity is, the absolute value of this quantity is greater than or equal to 10. So what does that mean? Well, absolute value is distance from 0, so this quantity is 10 units or more from 0. So let's take a quick look at what that would look like. So here's 0. Well, if we're 10 or more units away, we're at 10 or negative 10. And this is going to be 10 or more units away from 0 to the right. So that means it's going to be in this region, or 10 or more units away from 0 on the left. So that region. I should have used a different color. Okay. So that's how far this quantity is from 0. Okay. So what is that quantity? Well, it's 2x. 2 times the quantity x minus 3. Okay. So this is 10 or more, or it's negative 10 or less. So we have 2 different cases, so we're going to have to solve 2 different inequalities. Okay, well, if this is 10 or more units away from 0, that means 2 times the quantity x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 10. And this one's saying, well, we'll get to that when we get to. Well, this one's saying that 2 times the quantity x minus 3 is less than or equal to negative 10. All right, so let's solve this one. So we have 2 times x minus 3 is greater than or equal to 10. So we multiply through, we distribute, we get 2x minus 6 is greater than or equal to 10. And then add 6, and we get 2x is equal to 16, divide by 2, x equals 8. Whoops, I'm sorry, not equals. 2x is greater than or equal to 16, so x is greater than or equal to 8. Okay, and so if we have an x value that's 8 or greater, that's going to make 2 times x minus 3 be 10 or greater. Let's see that real quick. 8, if we just use 8, 8 minus 3, that's 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So, yeah, it makes sense. Let's choose a number greater than 8. Let's try 10. So, 10 minus 3 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. So, again, 2x minus 3 is going to be 10 or more units to the right of 0. Okay, this inequality, we'll just solve it from here. We have 2x minus 6 again is less than or equal to negative 10. And we add 6 to both sides. So now we have 2x is less than or equal to negative 4. And divide both sides by 2. And x is less than or equal to negative 2. So this is saying now that if x is less than or equal to negative 2, then 2 times the quantity x minus 3 is going to be less than or equal to negative 10. Let's try that. Let's try negative 2. Negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5, times 2 is negative 10. So that's right there. And now let's try one less than negative 2. Let's try negative 4. Negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. So, yeah, any number that's less than or equal to negative 2 is going to put this quantity less than or equal to negative 10. So, it's asking which graph shows this. Well, x could be greater than or equal to 8. So here we have, let's say, call this 8. So x could be at 8 or to the right of 8, or x could be negative 2 or less. So x could be at negative 2 or to the left of negative 2. So we want the graph that shows this. And let's see, that one is, oops. That one is D. Okay, now keep in mind, B looks very similar to D. Okay, but B has open circles on it, and when we shade a point, we're showing that point's included. If it's an open circle, showing that point's not included. Negative 2 is included in the solution, so is 8. So we want the shaded circles. So the answer there is D. All right, let's do one more. Okay, 18. Have some proportions, so let's see how to attack this one. All right, what does it tell us in this one? Mitch purchased a bottle of mustard on sale for $4.50, and Craig purchased a smaller bottle at full price for $3.20. Mitch noticed that the cost per unit of volume of mustard were the same. If Craig's bottle contained 500 milliliters of mustard, and Mitch's contained X millimeters of mustard. Which of the following equations does not express the relationship between the volume and cost of Craig's mustard and Mitch's mustard? Okay, so what are the two things we're comparing? We're comparing volume and cost. And we have two different people. We have Mitch and Craig. So, when you have a proportion, remember comparing two things. So we have volume and cost. And we have Mitch and we have Craig. All right. I put the G because I had a friend named Craig, but his nickname began with G. All right, so Mitch's cost is $4.50, and the volume is X. Craig's cost is $3.20, and the volume is $500. All right. So, key thing here. This row, if it represents volume, has to represent volume the whole time, and the cost, the row must be completely cost. This must be only of Mitch, this must only be of Craig. So this proportion is valid. Okay, so is that one of our choices? Let's see, X to 450, 500 to 320. So that's this one. All right, looks like they're putting the X on the right, so I'll do that from now on. Let's just switch Craig and Mitch. Okay, so Craig's volume, 500, cost 320. Mitch's volume, X, cost is 450. Okay, so we see that matches up with this one. So it's asking for which one does not, or is not equivalent, does not represent this correct relationship. So we know that one's correct. So we can eliminate that one. All right. One way to look at this without writing a whole bunch of stuff down, we just have to remember, if a column represents Craig, the other column must represent Mitch. If a row represents something, the whole row must represent that. So let's do that. Let's look at this. So what does this row represent? This row represents cost. This row represents volume. Okay, so it's both cost, both volume. So that's good. Okay, do both of these represent the same person? $3.20, 500, yes. So this represents Craig, and this one represents Mitch. So since the row is the same, same quantity, same idea, cost, and this row is the same, and this column's same, this column's the same. All right, this one's valid. Okay, let's look at this one. We have, here, 320 and 500. So this row represents Craig. Let's get rid of this now. So this row represents Craig. This row represents Mitch. Okay, both of these represent Craig, both of these represent Mitch. So we're okay there. Okay, both of these represent cost, both of these represent volume. So this proportion is valid too. Okay, let's look at this one. So we have 450 and X. This row represents Mitch. And this is 320, 500, so this represents Craig. Let's see, do both of these numbers in the column represent the same thing? Yes, they both represent cost. And these two numbers both represent volume. So this one is valid too. So this one is the one that's not valid. And let's see why. Okay, do these both represent the same thing? Yeah, they both represent cost. and these both represent volume. Okay, so now we have 450 and 500. Well, the 450 is from Mitch, the 500 is from Craig. So this column does not represent the same thing. Same thing here. So the 320 represents Craig, the X represents Mitch. They're not the same thing. So our answer for this one is K. Okay, thank you. Thank you for watching. Hope this helps you understand those particular problems better. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And Xiansheng.